morning in Ontario began under a blanket of heavy clouds. What started as a typical winter day quickly escalated into one of the most severe snowstorms the province has seen this season. Roads that were normally busy and familiar turned into treacherous paths, barely recognizable under layers of snow and ice. Drivers struggled as whiteout conditions engulfed highways, visibility dropping to almost zero in some areas. Cars slid off the roads, some ending up in ditches, abandoned by their drivers who had no choice but to wait for rescue. Blowing snow and icy conditions made travel almost impossible. Pedestrians fought to make it to safety. And emergency crews faced dangerous conditions just trying to reach those in need. But the storm was only beginning. Across Ontario, more than 60,000 homes were plunged into darkness. Hydro One, the province's largest electric utility, confirmed that ice accumulation on tree branches had caused downed lines, leaving tens of thousands without power. Residents woke up to frozen taps, powerless homes, and the chilling reality of a winter storm that would not let up anytime soon. In Timmins, Lake Superior, Ottawa, and cities across the north, snow continued to fall at relentless rates. Speeds. Environment Canada warned of a mixed bag of precipitation. Freezing rain in Ottawa, heavy snow along Lake Superior, and up to 60 centimeters in Timmins. Wind gusts reached up to 90 kilometers per hour in Toronto and southwestern Ontario, sending sheets of snow swirling through streets, creating dangerous drifts and obscuring road signs. Highways across northern Ontario, including Timmins, were forced to close Monday morning. The blizzard-like conditions meant that travel was not just difficult, it was life-threatening. Emergency services were stretched thin, with crews working around the clock to clear roads, restore power, and assist stranded residents. In some areas, even main roads were almost impassable. While residential streets remained buried under thick snow, making access to homes nearly impossible. As the storm raged on, multiple municipalities, including Greater Sudbury, declared a significant weather event. Residents were urged to stay home and avoid non-essential travel. Community centers were closed, buses halted service, and waste collection postponed. Many stores, restaurants, and businesses across northern Ontario announced closures, leaving residents without access to supplies or services. In the midst of this chaos, families tried to adapt. Children peered out windows, watching snow swirl in blinding gusts. While parents worked to keep their homes warm and safe, some ventured outside, braving the icy streets to clear sidewalks or check on neighbors. The human impact of this winter storm was tangible. It was not just snow and ice. It was lives disrupted, homes left powerless, and communities forced to band together in the face of relentless weather. The storm, experts explained, was fueled by a powerful bomb cyclone forming over the Great Lakes. From December 28 to 30, 2025, heavy snow, freezing rain, and severe winds would continue to batter Ontario. Snowfall totals were expected to reach up to 50 centimeters, with gusts exceeding 100 kilometers per hour in some areas. Hydro One crews worked tirelessly to restore power. Since the storm began on Sunday, over 88,000 homes had electricity restored, but dangerous road conditions delayed full recovery. Tree branches weighed down by ice snapped under the storm's force, bringing down power lines in multiple communities. Residents prepared for days in the dark, stacking blankets, charging devices, and rationing food in anticipation of extended outages. Northern and northeastern Ontario, including Timmins, Chapel, Wawa, and Cochrane, faced 30 to 50 centimeters of snow, with localized totals possibly exceeding 50 centimeters. Winds over 70 kilometers per hour caused whiteout conditions, reducing visibility to near zero. In eastern Ontario, including Ottawa, freezing rain warnings were issued. Ice accumulation of up to 15 millimeters threatened trees and power lines, increasing the risk of widespread outages. The storm's impact was not limited to snow and ice. Southern Ontario experienced heavy rainfall, which combined with falling temperatures, caused flash freezes and hazardous roads. Sustained winds of 60 to 90 kilometers per hour, with gusts up to 110 kilometers per hour, particularly along Lake Erie and Georgian Bay, enhanced blowing snow hazards and the risk of power interruptions. Residents were warned to prepare for ice-coated streets, downed trees, and dangerous travel conditions. Snow removal crews worked around the clock, prioritizing main roads first, followed by residential streets. Every available piece of equipment was deployed to manage the relentless accumulation of snow and ice. Officials reminded the public, anyone venturing outdoors should exercise extreme caution. Even experienced drivers found the conditions challenging. Ice-coated roads and snowdrifts made accidents almost unavoidable. Local authorities emphasized that this storm was not just a weather event, it was a community emergency. People were advised to check on vulnerable neighbors, ensure heating systems were functioning, and avoid unnecessary travel. Many families relied on social media and local news for updates, tracking road closures, power restoration schedules, and changing storm conditions. In Timmins, residents reported that their city looked unrecognizable. Snow piled high along sidewalks, cars half buried in drifts, and roads obscured by continuous snowfall. The sound of ice cracking from fallen branches echoed across neighborhoods. Even routine errands became dangerous missions. In other areas, such as Ottawa, the combination of freezing rain and wind created near-perfect conditions for blizzards, forcing schools and businesses to close. Environment and Climate Change Canada, ECCC, issued multiple warnings across the province, including snowfall, freezing rain, and wind warnings. Meteorologists described the storm system as rapidly intensifying, with central pressure dropping to 975 HPA, a sign of extreme storm strength. Forecasters highlighted the importance of preparation, emphasizing that the combination of snow, ice, and wind could produce severe impacts for days. Residents faced not only physical challenges, but also emotional strain. Extended power outages, blocked roads, and the inability to access essential services created anxiety across communities. Social media platforms filled with updates, from people documenting the storm, videos of snowdrifts, fallen trees, and downed power lines highlighted the storm's intensity. Throughout Ontario, city services and emergency teams were fully mobilized. Salt spreading, plowing, and ice removal operations ran continuously. Crews prioritized hospital routes, main highways, and access to essential services. Yet despite all efforts, the storm's intensity meant that many residential streets remained inaccessible for hours, sometimes even days. The winter storm also disrupted daily life in subtle ways. Grocery stores and pharmacies had to close temporarily. Schools postponed classes, and local events were canceled. For those relying on public transportation, the storm caused delays and cancellations, leaving commuters stranded or forced to seek alternative routes. By midday, it was clear that this storm would be remembered as one of the most severe of the season. From Toronto to Timmins, communities felt the weight of nature's fury, a mix of snow, ice, and wind that disrupted normal life and tested the preparedness of the province. Hydro One and municipal authorities continued to urge caution. They reminded residents to keep emergency kits ready, avoid travel unless necessary, and monitor official channels for updates. Crews continued working tirelessly, often risking their safety to restore power, clear roads, and assist stranded individuals. As evening approached, the storm showed no signs of slowing. Snow continued to fall in heavy sheets, visibility remained low, and gusting winds created drifts across roads and fields. For many Ontario residents, this was a night of long hours, staying warm indoors, checking on loved ones, and hoping for the storm to pass. The combination of heavy snowfall, ice accumulation, and high winds made this storm a classic example of extreme winter weather. Dangerous, disruptive, and unforgettable. Yet amid the chaos, communities demonstrated resilience. Neighbors helped one another. Crews worked tirelessly to maintain services, and residents adapted to the challenging conditions. Environment Canada continued to issue hourly updates, highlighting areas at risk and providing guidance for safe travel. The storm system, while powerful, also reminded residents of the importance of preparation and caution during extreme weather events. By the end of the second day, snowfall totals in northern Ontario reached over 50 centimeters, with blizzard conditions making cleanup and travel a significant challenge. Power outages persisted, and residents continued to rely on community resources, emergency services, and one another for support. For those in southern Ontario, freezing rain caused roads to turn into sheets of ice, requiring extreme care for any movement outside. The combination of precipitation, types, and gusty winds ensured that the storm's impact would last for several days, even after the snow stopped falling. As the storm finally began to ease in some areas, Ontario reflected on the severity of the winter weather event. The lessons were clear. Preparation, caution, and community support are critical during such extreme conditions. The storm had left its mark in snowdrifts, power outages, closed roads, and a province reminded of nature's unpredictability. Residents, now recovering from the storm, were left to clean up, restore normalcy, and adapt to lingering ice and snow. Utility crews continued to restore power, while snow removal teams worked tirelessly to reopen streets and highways. Though the storm was passing, its memory and lessons would last long into the season. At the end of this video, I really appreciate if you like, comment, share, and subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching Storm Panic.